Well, guys, I'm on the train against the Nantok, going back to Hellfire Pass for the second time. Just about to leave the station. Just leaving the Kanchanaburi station to go to Nantok. I was pretty compelled to go back the second time, actually, so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to catch the train all the way to Nantok. We got off at a minibus last time on my tour. This time I'm going to go all the way to Nantok, get a songtail, and then go back to the Interpretive Centre to just do a bit more of a vlog on Hellfire Pass. As you can see out the window, a lot of older sleepers on the side of the road there. These are the market stalls that are here along the railway. I'm just setting up for the day. Just gone 6 o'clock in the morning. It'll take us 7 minutes past 6. Getting over the bridge over River Kwai. Here's the bridge, that's the bridge. Poi was pointing out to me before about these being the original sleepers. Here's the Kinsaiyok cave, right by the bridge. Death Railway, Kanchanaburi. Okay guys, I'm back in the taxi after having something to eat, and we're on our way to Hellfire Pass, which I think he said is going to be about 15-20 minutes, something like that. Okay guys, I've just come through the gate. We're in the grounds of the Hellfire Pass. Okay guys, here we are at the Hellfire Pass Interpretive Centre. I'm just about to go in to have a look at the centre and then make my way down to the Hellfire Pass, which, yeah, this is great. So yeah, as we just walk in, just seen them girls before about getting a ticket. Just what's on the wall there, what does it say there? Just leave it there for a while so you can read it. But as you come into the centre, there must be an original sleeper there that was on the Hellfire Pass Railway. And as you come into the centre, you'll see it looks like a cutting. It has names on either side. And as we walk forward, you'll see rail tracks are on the floor to depict the cutting. And we'll just come back this way. Just look at the names. These are of all have fallen. And around this side, you can see the names of blokes that died on the Burma Railway. I think these lights here depict the lamps, the homemade lamps they made. They were on the side of the cutting, which gave it its name Hellfire Pass because of the look of the guys, how skinny they were, and the flickering light gave it the distinction of a living hell. But as you look down this, you can see the rows and rows of names, and it just takes your breath away, to be honest. And at the end of the cutting, there's a great picture of an old digger walking through the Hellfire Pass. Must be on Anzac Day or something. There's a plaque there. We'll see what that says. Prisoner of War Bill Haskell at Hellfire Pass, 2017-07. What I might do is go into the theatre and hopefully there's no one in there.
The worst period was Hellfire Pass, because that was holding the completion of the whole lineup. And when they had to build bridges over rivers and they had to build roadbeds and all sorts of things. But this mountain, or hill, or two hills it was actually, was more on a solid granite.
This place was part of the Burma-Thailand Railway. In 1941, the armed forces of Japan swept westward into Southeast Asia, through Malaya, and in time through Indonesia, the Philippines, New Guinea, and Pacific Islands. They moved through neutral Thailand to support an invasion of British-ruled Burma, now Myanmar. There they threatened India. The place where you are became part of that story when the Japanese faced the problem of supporting its troops in Burma.
They were concerned about the vulnerability of Japanese shipping from submarines in the Indian Ocean, going around Malaysia and up there to supply Burma. So the concept was to have this railway going through from Thailand through to Burma, where they could supply their Burman troops that way.
This place, Konyu Cutting, was the deepest and longest cutting along the line of the Thai-Burma Railway, which the Imperial Japanese Army forced through to speed supply and reinforcement of its forces in Myanmar. Their workforce was not Japanese. This place saw a workforce of thousands, drawn from British, Australian, Dutch, and American prisoners of war, captured during the sweep through Southeast Asia and Malaya, and at the fall of Singapore, and thousands of Asian labourers, or Romusha.
Hundreds of thousands of civilian slaves, they won't tell you the truth, of mostly Tamil Indians and the poor Malayans and all that.
If we had a bad time, they had a shocking time. They had no organisation. They had no one to lead them, no one to help them, and they died in their tens of thousands.
At this place, the work was amongst the hardest of the entire project. During what the Japanese termed the Speedo period, from April to August 1943, when the working day could stretch to 18 hours or more, it was the most brutal place, and its death toll can never be accurately known.
When things were really hot towards the end there, when they were pushing that railway very hard, I think I used to start sick parade at about 4 in the morning. And you'd come up and been up till about 10 the night before. And then you had to go and see these guys in the dark, trying to pick out who was fit to go and work. And they were all gone.
Work gangs were labouring here in daylight and in darkness, when bamboo flares and lamps lit the site. And that is what suggested to someone the name that has stuck to Konyu Cutting, Hellfire Pass.
When we worked on Hellfire Pass, biggest percentage of the time there we were living on rice and what we call stinkfish. It was dried fish. And there was more bones than there was fish, sort of. But we just put up with it, sort of. There was nothing else you could do.
Work here started in November 1942 with British prisoners and Tamil labourers. The first Australians arrived sometime around April 25th, 1943. April 25th is the day that Australia remembers her war dead, Anzac Day. The day on which the Australian troops first went into action in the First World War. Those who worked at this place suffered at the hands of their guards. All were beaten, many severely. Some with permanent effect, some were killed. But the death toll at this place and along the railway tells us more about the conditions in which the men lived and worked, the inadequate diet and the presence of disease. Dysentery, malaria, tropical ulcers, and above all, cholera took a fearful toll. 30% of Australians held prisoner by the Japanese died in captivity.
No chap that was there died on his own. He always had somebody beside him. You'd talk to him, you'd do everything you could for him, even though you knew you couldn't do any more for him. But you'd talk to try and comfort him and everything like that. You'll be right, mate, don't worry about it, you'll be right, you know. Most probably they knew themselves they weren't going to be right. But you know, we'll be doing this, we'll be doing that when we go home.
Most of the work done at this place was done with hand tools. Hellfire Pass was cut and blasted through the solid rock by men with hammers and spikes. Two-man teams, one with the heavy hammer, the other rotating the metal drill in the rock until a hole large enough to contain a dynamite charge had been gouged out.
They sort of let the hammer do the work. And I would swing the hammer most of the day. And Harry would use the skill of getting it through the rock. You would also say, Tom, don't rush yourself, take your time. Play it easy. We'll go dark. It's a mining term. That was the contract you had to do, and then you could go back.
And the work they did at this place, day and night, was often in the worst possible conditions. The men had to walk to the worksite, perhaps several steep kilometres from their camp. And in the wet season, for months, that was dangerous and it was unhealthy.
It rained for over 100 days, and the place was awash.
The clothes in which the prisoners were captured soon rotted, and their boots fell apart.
I was like about 150 days without boots, just getting around in bare feet.
Mainly barefoot and with improvised loincloths, they lived on little more than poor quality rice, and their heroic doctors did what they could with virtually no supplies.
I happened to be on the saw. I had a bucket of boiling water there. I put the saw in the bucket of boiling water. Half a dozen fellas rolled this fella down, cut his leg off, and put the saw in the bucket of water and washed it. I took it back to the bamboos.
That is the story of this place. It is the story that has been told here in the Interpretive Centre. If you choose, you can walk through Konyu Cutting, Hellfire Pass. The rails have long since been removed, but the cutting, the rock faces, are as the prisoners made them and knew them and left them. If you choose to walk through the cutting, you walk where they walked and worked and lived and died.
We started work on Hellfire Pass on Anzac Day 1943, and we worked right through until it was finished. It was all solid rock. We had to blow it out, dynamite, and then what was there we had to push it over the bank.
For years, this place lay hidden by the jungle. But it was identified afresh in the 1980s, and since then, with the support of the Australian government, has been restored as a place of memory and reflection. The Hellfire Pass walking trail is in sections. You can choose the length of walk that suits you best. After you leave this centre, it will take about 1 hour to walk to the memorial and back. The end of the trail is at the Hintok Road, almost 2.5 kilometres from the centre. You should allow 3 hours to walk there and return to the centre. An audio tour is available, which continues the story of the railway and the experiences of those who worked on it, and describes some of the particular features that you will see on your walk.
Okay guys, after coming out of that theatre, we'll just have a look around the memorial. Yeah. This will show the 140 odd kilometres of the railway, 415 actually, I think it is. So Uncle Harry got shipped to Bampong, and then he was in the prisoner of war camp just up from Hellfire Pass. He was in Kinsaiyok, that's where Uncle Harry was, prisoner of war. He did move to a couple of other spots, but that's where he was mainly. And as you can see from Hellfire Pass, that was only 2 stops away from Hellfire Pass. Let's move around. Let's try and pan down slowly, guys, so you can read it. It's there on record. I may not speak all the time, guys. It's pretty emotional. What is interesting here is that it's not only in English, it's also in Thai, which is great. The Thais can learn about what happened here. I mean, it did happen in their land, and I'm sure some of them were prisoners of war as well. A lot of Malays, though. But yeah. The fall of Singapore, 15th of February 1942. I think Uncle Harry was then trained to Bampun, and then they were marched from there, I think. Pictures of Singapore there, copying it from the Japs. Wow, look at that, guys. One of the quotes is, "They worked us slowly to death." Pearl Harbor, I believe. Slim River, stop of the railway journey from Singapore to Bampong, which most of the people were taken to, which Uncle Harry was. Distribution centre, if you like. Period. go, guys. More than 60,000 prisoners worked on the railway. In 1946, the Allied War Graves Registration Unit concluded that about 12,500 lost their lives, including some 6,300 British, 2,800 Australian and 2,500 Dutch. The dead were buried or cremated in the camps where they died. Absolutely horrific.
Not a decent life, had no medical equipment, no medicines, antibiotics, which I never had in those days, of course. And all he could do was to clean the wound with like a salt spoon.
I nearly died on my 21st. I think my youth helped me. But there was a lot of fellas younger than I died. And I think it's your attitude.
You have no mind, the chap took your mind. You did nothing, you just did what he told you.
Before we went to work, the Japanese commander would come out and ask how many men. And our colonel would say 300 or whatever it was. And so he would say, not enough. Oh, look. So all the sick liberated and our doctor would go around with him.
And then I think everybody got pellagra. It's a skin disease. We'll just say, get it all over, get it on your arms. And it's as itchy as blazes. And we talking and scratching, they used to call it the Malayan salute.
In our camp with Underweary, the strong was looking after the weak, the young was looking after the old, the fit was looking after the sick.
I saw hundreds of friends die, but I never saw an Australian die unattended. I've seen them comforted and cuddled and nurtured, but I've never seen an Australian die on his own.
Now, because the Japs had agreed to Major Woods and Colonel Dunlop to build a shower in our camp, which we didn't have, and they built it all out of bamboo. Now, if they hadn't got that agreement from the Japs, I wouldn't be here today. Because from that temperature, my temperature was up to 107.2, and just remember Dunlop Frank will just strap him under the shower. And that's what they did. In about 3 days I was out. I was still having malaria, but I was fit enough to go to work again.
I mean, you had to have some sort of hope or belief about getting home. For instance, I did a couple of times. It never occurred to us that we wouldn't get home, despite the fact that you see people around you die.
Can't help but think of the times up there and how much worse it would have been had the doctors not been there.
I was right next to the ulcer ward, and people with ulcers, I'm not talking about spinal ulcers, sometimes are huge to take up all the shin. The only means of cleaning those was with a sharpened spoon with no anaesthetic.
Godsend was that the nurse cleared out if you knew you were going to do it. We used to get blood transfusions, and we'd go and steal the bike from the ordinary room, spin it on that, so that you'd get a rough idea of whether it's compatible.
from the cutting, I'm not sure. I think there's a little bit more out here, guys. As you walk out, there's a seat made out of 2 rail sleepers, and there's an old fellow there contemplating in the Hellfire Pass. Look at his eyes and his face. Ex-prisoner of war Harold Martin was the subject of A Long Way Back, a film that chronicled his return to the railway 70 years after he was liberated. The legacy. There's the Kanchanaburi War Museum that I went to with we.
I think the behaviour of both the Japs and the troops were very good. Amazing, I think about it. Because one day, the Japs were in charge, sitting in the guardhouse, and we were all saluting them. And the next day, we made a point of having our blokes there, and the Japs would never come past and salute us.
The war is over. Oh yes, it was told by a fellow who was out on a work party and was going into the camp, and they happened to be in the camp that day, and they yelled out quite loudly, the war was over. And then when the aircraft and that started to move in on us, that's our aircraft and everything, and dropping messages and everything, and then we knew it was over.
We had an English sergeant major in charge of our camp, and he said that an atomic bomb has been dropped on Japan and the war is over. We wouldn't have cared if it had been custard tart. It was over and we'd survived.
It was sometime during the wet season, and one of these storms was coming over, and you can't hear yourself shout, it's just bedlam. So we had to take shelter, and there was a bit of a branch above me with a number of leaves, and I looked up, and underneath one of them there was a mosquito, a single mosquito, probably one of the frailest things in the jungle. And here it was, riding it out as if nothing was happening outside its orbit. And I thought, well, when I get out there, I'm going to find myself a leaf just like this mosquito and weather it out.
Well, guys, that's the Hellfire Pass done, I think. Going to walk out the front and give it away. Just thought I'd finish it here in front of this gentleman, looking down the cutting. It's been an emotional look in here. The whole thing, the Hellfire Pass, the Interpretive Centre, it's really well done. Yeah, I'm just going to head down to the cutting now and find my way. Go and have a look for the second time and just finish this part of it here, guys. Cheers. Guys, as I come out from the start out onto a little area where it's quite nice up here before I go down into the cutting of the Hellfire Pass. There it is there, and continue down the boardwalk. You look down, it is a fair way down into the cutting. So we'll make our way down. This is the second time I've been here in 3 or 4 days. I've come by myself to do a talking vlog. The last one was more around getting the information and putting some music to walking in and out of the cutting. Not really by design. The microphone's stuffed up. There's some more bamboo, and like I said before, he said that it grows wild here, and they use the bamboo to make the beds, the stretchers, the houses, the showers, the tables, everything. And as we continue to go down, it's a fair way down actually. It's a lot further than I thought. Alright guys, down on the tree where the old railway track used to be. That's the way to Hellfire Pass there. Okay, so this is the rail bed guys, basically. There's like these little mini bridges all the way along. This is original stone here, I believe. Obviously the bridge is new, but you can see that stone there, that was put there by the prisoners of war. And it's just a little bridge that there's a few of them apparently. This is walking along the rail bed. And as you can see, as you walk along here, even here, I guess you can see it's straight up there. That would have been coming down at a slope and they had to blow their way through this. And yeah, pretty hard work. Here it is 9:30 and I am sweating buckets already. Look how lush the surrounding is around here and how hilly it is. See these rocks here? They would have had to clear them away. And the thing up here is some leftover boulders. These rocks here are part of the clearing when they blew that area there, and all these rocks are leftover rocks. These are sort of rocks that I had to get rid of, and look at the size of them. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot smaller ones as well, but wow, what heavy work that was. And these rocks are pretty much solid granite. We've got some old sleepers here still in the ground. Nice touch. Maybe they are probably original ones, I would have thought, that have been left on the trail as you work up to the Hellfire Pass. Just look at the lushness of it, and look how, I mean, look at the fall down there. They were basically not only working in the heat, working with no mechanical or very few mechanical devices, working on basically on the side of a cliff, trying to clear it to put this railway. As you can see, this railway is just hugging the side of the mountain, and there's a fair drop off down there. Wow, what work conditions. Well guys, here I am walking upon Hellfire Pass. Quite emotional actually. There it is, there's the start of the pass there. As you can see in the foreground a bit of, I think, the original track there at the start that they've laid or relayed. There's the memorial, or one of the memorials that they have on Anzac Day. The flag's up. We'll just give you this information here so you can read it for yourselves. This is Hellfire Pass, also known as Konyu Cutting, and this is the notorious Hellfire Pass, guys. Just try and go a little bit slower so you can read it on the video. Just pause it and read it. It's probably the way to go. Here's the tracks leading into Hellfire Pass to signify what it was for. Here's a memorial to the Australians and the English, and of course the Dutch were here as well. We can't forget the Dutch. These rails and sleeves are from the original railway and were laid in Konyu Cutting in April 1989 by the men of the C Company and 3rd Battalion Royal Australian Regiment. They were relocated to the current position in 2006. So that's got to be that rail there that they relayed, and the Australians came back and laid it. Absolutely magnificent. But as we pan over this, I've seen this on many YouTube channels. It's quite emotional really to think of the people that passed away. People have had their own personal tributes here. Wow. It's a place of pilgrimage for the Australians. Pretty emotional right now, guys. Wowee. As we go further into Konyu Cutting, Hellfire Pass, on both sides there is the poppy and tributes, Australian flags. As you can see, the height of it, unbelievable. Wow. Sheer size of the cutting, guys. It's solid rock. I can hear on my radio that the guy talking about it's solid rock, and that it was. Looking back, Hellfire Pass. The guy I was saying on the audio that they drill it by hand. They stick a stick of gelignite in, they blow it up, and then they have to clear it. Just look at the sheer size of this, especially something when you think that they had to dig this out by hand. This is solid granite rock. And wowee, just to be in this area, guys, with only one other guy in the cutting, because the school kids have gone out. Wow. It's, even though it's a place of torture for the Australians, the Dutch, the English and a few Americans, it feels peaceful. It's a peaceful place. Just have a look at the height of the rock at the cutting. What the guys must have gone through. Wowee. Now this here is, I believe, a broken bit. So if we look at, it says a broken drill bit, and there's a broken drill bit in there. Now I believe they didn't use too much percussion instruments. There wasn't much of it, and only through the giddy up phase did they use that, but mainly a lot of it was by hand drilling and gelignite. And wow, you know, unbelievable. Very emotional as an Australian to be here. Really, really struggling for words, the enormity of it. Like I said, it's been a boyhood dream to come here, along with several other things in my life, and this is way up there. And I'm finally come here. And as we come along, there's some really nice moss growing on the embankment down. There's a little memorial there with a cross and a couple of little flowers. Someone's planted that in there, a little crevice. Wow. Just look back, the cutting, unbelievable. As we make our way through, and this end of it, I'm the only one here. Wow, that's blows me away. So I came in nice and early. Hopefully I could get a little bit of a peace time here. I think I'm going to be able to. Other Australian flags. Once again, just look at the sheer size of it as we look back down the cutting. Wow. Here we have more Australian flags. The Union Jack for the English. Australian flags again. I believe that's the Dutch flag. We're nearly through the cutting now, guys. Just stepped over some more sleepers. And I reckon they're old originals. They must be. They're just about worn away. And he comes up to the memorial. Anzac Day, they have a memorial here in this part of it. And this is sort of the memorial wall, if you like. More Australian flags, more personal tributes to diggers that died here. Wow. Hellfire Pass, guys. Konyu Cutting. Just try and bring that down slow so you guys can read it at your leisure. Pretty significant. There's one guy that came back. And on this wall is a tribute to Sir Weary Dunlop, the doctor, the colonel. Fantastic. Over on this side, I think there's a tribute to the Americans. American prisoner of war. And just as I make my way to the memorial, the granite memorial, with some contemplation for the guys, all I can say is thanks for your service, guys, for your valid application to try and get our freedom, the freedom of today. Here's the granite memorial, the Burma the Thai Railway, 1942 to 1945. In memory of all those who suffered and all of those who died. Wow, quite emotional. As we look around the cutting, there they have the Anzac Day tributes there, and that's where everyone sits on Anzac Day. We'll just move over here, guys, over to see what it says over here. This is probably significant. Hope you can hear me. There's a lot of guys in the background now. That's the blue one to the memorial area, concludes here. Just try and pan down slow for you guys so you can get some sort of idea. Have a look at these guys, how much weight they had on them. No wonder Uncle Harry wouldn't talk about it, being prisoner of war of the Japanese. They were absolutely brutal guys. They never really looked after them at all. And in fact, I know from talking to Uncle Harry that, you know, they had to look after themselves, and they had a mate, and that's what the mate did. He looked after them. Unbelievable. So, you know, pretty significant really for the Australians in this part of the world. It's really, really important for us to remember and never forget the Japanese, the way they treated the Australians, the Dutch and the Americans and the English. It wasn't acceptable, and I think the Japanese know that. It's very, very emotional here for me to be here, and I think I'm going to go up to the carriage up here, and it's a little carriage that when they broke the rocks up, they put it into the carriage and took it on the train tracks and to lever it out. So just turn the camera around. There's like an amphitheatre there that they built out of rocks. I think that was done after the war, obviously, to commemorate the Anzac Day. And I'm just going to walk up these steps and show you the trolley, if you like. As I'm going up the steps, I just look across to the memorial that, yeah, on Anzac Day, it's full of candles and what a sight to see. And in fact, I might come back one Anzac Day to have Anzac Day here, I think. Quite significant. Climbing stairs seems to be my thing lately. But hey, it is what it is. Now here's the trolley. I don't know the real name of it, but we're going to call it the rock trolley. It was laid while they were blasting and clearing the rocks from the Hellfire Pass. They used these on thinner track that they laid, and they were sort of more temporary track. You can see it's very narrow gauge, and they used to push them out. They'd fill them full of rock, they'd push them out, and then as you can see there's a curvature there. They would pull that pin, and then that way they could tilt and all the rocks would fall out. But talk about back-breaking work. Now you have a look here at the end of the cutting, where the cutting finishes there, where you can see all the school kids down there now. End of the cutting there with all the flagpoles. That bloody drops straight off. But the railway line hugs over there, right by the side of the mountain. And you can see the big ravine down there, how deep it is. And how treacherous that must have been, working on the side of the mountain. Everything here is really steep, really rocky, and yeah, hard as fuck graft, I would have thought. What I may do is I may go down there. I may walk up them steps here to see if I can get a better view. But I'll just close the camera for now and just sit. Maybe hopefully a couple of these kids will clear out and I'll continue on. Thank you. Okay guys, this is the granite memorial at the end of the Hellfire Pass to, you know, this is what the Australians, the Dutch and the English and the Americans died for, I guess, to put this cutting through, Konyu Cutting. It's very emotional for me to stand here because, as you know, my uncle was prisoner of war for 3.5 years on the Burma Railway, and to finally get here is something significant for me. Every Australian feels the same way about this cutting. It's almost like sacred land to us, and I think the Thais have done a great job of preserving what happened here and have a nice memorial. If you want to go on to the further walk, you go down through over there and then carry on. I'm not going to do that. I'm just doing this first part in the Konyu Cutting, Hellfire Pass. It's quite emotional for me, guys, really, to be honest. To finally be here after all these years of wanting to be here, to finally get here is fantastic. And just look, you know, just the feeling I get here, even though there was such atrocities occurred here, the feeling of peace. There's a tranquility about it. I can't explain it. You hear the birds twerking or twitching or singing or whatever they're doing, and it's just hits home at how peaceful this land is and what brutality happened here at the Hellfire Pass. As I stand here in reflection, once again I'd just like to thank the fallen soldiers and the returned soldiers for their service to the freedom, especially of Australia and the Western world. I'm struggling for words, guys. I don't struggle for words too often. But this time I am, as I make my way out of the cutting. It's almost like I don't want to leave the cutting. I've come here and it's, you know, I've seen it. There's a moment of reflection for the Australians. Like I said, this is like sacred land to us, especially what happened here. This is in honour of you, Uncle Harry. What a peaceful setting. We'll have another look at the memorial as we go past it. Once again, Weary Dunlop, the doctor, the guy that saved a lot of people's lives, him and other doctors, but Sir Edward Weary Dunlop. Yeah, what a guy, what a surgeon, absolute saviour. Have a look at all the badges here, if I can get it low enough. Got all these Aussie badges, there's American, there's Dutch. There's a Dutch and an Australian badge there. There's the English, of course. There's a Canadian badge. Wow. Lots of people came here to honour the fallen soldiers. I think this was a light that shined its way. I think they filled it with oil, and then it's like 2 wicks coming out the side of it. And they were the lights, I believe, that lit up the Hellfire Pass as the guys worked here. On the other side, next to the American memorial, there is also another a light that they used, and I don't know if they're original or they're replica, but that's pretty much what they used. And the reason it's called Hellfire Pass, at night they had all them along these embankments that the soldiers had to work tirelessly to drill and blow up and clear, and the condition of the soldiers in the flickering light gave it the nickname. The Aussies called it Hellfire Pass because it looked like a living hell, which I'm sure it was for anybody who was living, working and died in this area. Absolute living hell, what the Japanese did to us, the Allies. As we walk back through the cutting and back out of the cutting, just look at the sheer scale. I think someone was saying it was 20 or 28 metres high. You get some sort of idea of they had to dig by hand through this rock. And just as I say that, I look over here and you can see a drill mark hole. See that? That's been drilled by hand, by the way. And they would have put sticks of jelly in that to blow the bits of rock off. And you can see how sharp that is there. That's not natural. That's been blasted off and fallen off. And I look back down at the memorial at Hellfire Pass. And as I once again pan round and head out of the Hellfire Pass, it's quite emotional. I'm just going to shut me gob for a minute and try and walk through with a bit of peace, with a bit of tranquility. For such a brutal place, it has a feeling of peace here for so many people that died, and for Uncle Harry was prisoner of war for 3.5 years. This is in honour of you, Uncle Harry. See now, the rock has been split for a long time and has moss growing over it. There's vegetation taking hold. A very sobering moment for me to be here near the Hellfire Pass. So here on the way out, as I showed on the way in, you have a broken compressor drill. There it is there, a pneumatic drill bit, and they had very, very little of those. They had some apparently in about the 3-month period when they were calling it the speed up phase. As you can see, they were drilling holes in there, we put a stick of jelly in there, and then they would have blown it off. Quite sobering, guys, quite sobering for an Australian to be in what we know as a sacred land for the Australians. Here's another mark of the hand drill that the guys had to drill by hand. There's another mark on the wall. You can see the mark on the wall. It's quite easily distinguishable. That is a man-made hole, drilled by hand, obviously, and a stick of jelly down it to blow the embankment away. And the Aussies were here with the Dutch and the Poms and the Americans. And I look back down the pass, and to be honest, it's quite beautiful sight really, but you just think about what happened here and it just blows you away really. Here you can see some drill holes in the wall, quite distinctively, man-made holes. We come to the end of the cutting, guys. Quite emotional. This is the other end of the memorial. There's the track. There's the track leading out of the Hellfire Pass. So guys, just on reflection, boyhood dream to come to the Hellfire Pass, to honour Uncle Harry, prisoner of war, to honour all the Australians, to honour all the Dutch, to honour all the English, and to honour the Americans that died at this place. As I've said to you once before, to an Australian, this place is sacred land. Sacred land for our soldiers that were taken from us brutally, inhumanely, and in an Australian way, just not bloody on. But it's a peaceful place now. You come to terms with it. It's peaceful. It has a feeling of peace. And so there you go, guys. The Hellfire Pass. It's been done. It's been done twice. But this time it's the talking head vlog, not the music one. And quite emotional, guys. Very emotional. So to that end, guys, I'm going to finish the vlog. The Hellfire Pass has been conquered. A little bit easier than what the soldiers did. I'm glad I came. It's been wonderful. All right, guys. I'll catch you maybe when I get out or further up the track. And make sure you like and subscribe. Make a comment. Maybe after times like this you need to take a chill pill just because you feel like it. Make sure you keep on watching the Clean Up Files. And I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Catch you later. Well, guys, come back up to the Interpretive Centre after the walk through the cutting, the Hellfire Pass. So we'll sign off here, guys. That's the Hellfire Pass. It's been done. Hope you enjoyed. I enjoyed it. Boyhood dream come true to come and accomplish it. Very sobering, very reflective thoughts. I got a bit emotional in there. I could feel it welling up inside me. a tribute to my Uncle Harry Sermon, who was a prisoner of war here for over 3 years, 3.5 years, from a place not too far from the cutting, 2 stops up. The name of it slips me at the moment, but when I think I showed it out inside earlier on where it is, we found out where his prisoner of war camp was. In fact, he got shifted a couple of times, but his main camp was only 2 down from the one here at the Hellfire Pass. And yeah, I remember Uncle Harry saying he was close to the Hellfire Pass. There was only a couple of camps down. There was camps all along the way. So at least I found out from the museum, he's run by 2 great Australian guys, and Uwe, who took me on the tour the other day, she works there. I found out the information about Uncle Harry, which is really, really great, really good. A little bit more information for the family to piece together. Uncle Harry never used to talk about it much. All he used to say is he didn't like the Japs, he wouldn't eat rice. I don't know, bloody blame him. So guys, I'm going to shut it down here. If I get back in the air-conditioned van, I might do a little bit more footage before I get back. Thanks for watching my videos, guys. This is a big part of why I came to Thailand, was to come to the Hellfire Pass, see the bridge over River Kwai, and I feel as if I've almost accomplished that at Kanchanaburi. I'm only here for 1 more day. I might go up the river, maybe go down to and have a look at the cutting from the river, the Konyu Cutting, the other one that's the smaller version of the Hellfire Pass, and have a look at that tomorrow. But my trip to Thailand's not over, but Kanchanaburi is coming to a close very quickly. Hellfire Pass, yeah, I've done it. Do I recommend it? Absolutely. For any Australian that has any family connection to it, or even if not, you have military connection, or you know, you love Anzac Day like we all do. We remember on Anzac Day, and yeah, I've achieved it. I'm grateful for it. So guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one, eh? Cheers for that. Well guys, that's me, finished at the Hellfire Pass. I've done the museum, I've done the walk. Just thought I'd finish it out the front and where the sign is. I might take a still of that. It's been pretty emotional. It's been something that I've always wanted to do, and now I've done it. So Hellfire Pass, tick, it's off the list. In honour of you, Uncle Harry, the pilgrimage to come to Hellfire Pass has now been completed. May you rest in peace, old mate. Thanks for watching the Clean Up Files, guys. Check you on the next one. Catch you.